And it says it started, so we will go. For the benefit of the people in the archive, my name is Tom Lanou. You can see the picture, and that's really only a couple-year-old picture, so that's pretty much what I look like if I actually take the time to shave and put on a shirt and tie. But since I'm online, you know, I don't do that very often. I am actually a full-time instructor with Rasmussen on the St. Cloud campus, although I seem to teach pretty much all online classes now for business because most of our students prefer online. And I have to say, I myself, I like online as well. It's a little bit more convenient, a little bit harder to navigate once in a while, but other than that, pretty good. What I want to do tonight is basically just kind of go through the project since it's roughly 50% of the points in this class. I know I've sent some stuff out, but I kind of want to go through it just to make sure people understand what we're kind of looking for. There's a real general idea of what it looks like, and we're going to come back to this, but in the textbook, if you have a textbook, and for those of you that are watching this as an archive, you know, feel free to grab your textbook. But basically, Appendix 2, which starts on page 285 in the book, is a really, really, really good example of what this project looks like. You'll see on page 285, it has an executive summary. It talks about the company vision and mission, company goals, company policies. You get to page 286, and almost instantly it goes into the external analysis. Now, I think most people, by the time you're watching this archive or listening to this, you've done the week 3 lesson. You've read the stuff about Porter's 5 forces, so this isn't new. A lot of people took a look at that general external environment. So none of this stuff is new. So that's 286 and 287 is the external analysis. If you flip over on the bottom of 288, it starts the internal analysis. And it goes through 289 and 290. And there's maybe a little paragraph on the top of 291. We're going to come back to this as we go through this thing tonight, but essentially, at the end of the day, if you're looking for an idea of what this thing will look like when you're done, Appendix 2 is a great, great place to start. Obviously, they have their own company, Big Loud Motorcycles, and of course you would use your own company and that sort of thing, but it gives you an example of what it looks like. I've posted 2 things in the shell. Let's see if I can click through this. And Stephanie, I'm going to ask you as we go through this, let me know if your screen changes. I'm clicking on lessons. Is that what it looks like to you?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to week 3. And within week 3, and a lot of you have seen this already, but in case you missed it, I put a little thing in that says, what is this project all about? You can click on that, and it will automatically load, or you can just click on it if you don't want to wait. Obviously, I'm one of those people that has no patience, so I just click on it, and it's a giant Excel spreadsheet. What I've tried to do in this is give people an overview by week of what comes up in the project. So week 2's already come and gone. Everyone got a chance to pick a company. Most people, Stephanie, I don't recall, what company did you pick?
I picked RBC Wealth Management.
RBC, well, and that's where you work, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep. And that's what I tried to suggest to people. You don't have to pick a place you work at. If you're not employed and you have a spouse, a significant other, mom, dad, whatever, This project is so much easier if you do it on a company that you can get information on. A lot of people come into this project, they think it's like a giant research paper. It's not. You're actually creating a strategic plan, and it is so much easier to do if you pick a company that you have some ability to get information on. Every quarter I do this class, every quarter I get someone that says, well, I don't work anywhere, I don't know anybody, why are you making me do this? You know, you can pick whatever company you want, but trust me, I've taught this class probably 15 times. I'm just trying to make this easier for you. You can make it as hard as you want, but I'm not sure why anyone would want to do that. So week 2, you picked your company. If you're listening to this archive and you've decided that, oh my God, I wish I'd have picked a different company, you can do that up through week 4. Just send me an email. Tell me you want to pick a different company. Tell me who it is. And that's fine. It may be after you watch this archive that you say, holy smokes, I really want to pick someone different than I picked, and that's fine with me. Week 4, which is this week, is a complete external and internal SWOT. This thing will be huge. This will probably end up being half of your paper. And this is why you will notice, as I say in the text, that's page 286 through 291. Oh, and I see I've got a lovely typo, financial. That's probably supposed to be financial. Wow, nice catch. Beautiful typing job, Tom. Anyway, financial analysis. It is all of the headings in the external and all the headings in the internal. Now, one of the things you notice in the book, for instance, if you're on even page 286, you scroll, you go down about 4 things. It says potential entrance threats, none found. You will rarely actually want to write none found in your report. Every once in a while you might say, well, I just don't think there's any potential entrance. You know, I don't think there's anyone else that can come into this business. You know, and maybe since Stephanie is RBC Dane, you know, RBC Dane is pretty good size. It takes a lot of stroke and a lot of money to open up a new large brokerage firm. You've got a lot of little things. I mean, you know, Billy Bob's brokerage firm can always open up, but to get to be the size of RBC Dane, it's going to take a lot of money. So it may very well be that from a potential entrance, RBC is not really worried if Tom decides to open his own stock brokerage firm. RBC probably would be more worried if Merrill Lynch decided to significantly expand what they were doing. So that's probably the difference. Once you have your SWOT done in week 4, the next part of the project comes up in week 6, and you notice it's week 6, week 8, week 10. Week 6, you can only do week 6 if you've already done week 4. Every quarter I'll get 1 or 2 people that don't want to do the SWOT, and then they want to jump into week 6. The way, I'm going to close this out. The way this project really works, week 4 tells you where you're at right now. Where are you at? Week 6 tells you where do we want to go? Where do we want to be? So think of this whole project as like a giant, you know, TomTom or some kind of, you know, I'm a TomTom person, obviously, as opposed to Garmin, because my wife gave it to me and my name was Tom, so she thought that was funny. But, you know, if you're into any kind of GPS, they tell you where you're at. You can tell it where you want to go, and they tell you how to get there. Week 4 is the part that tells you where you're at. Week 6 is the part that tells you where you want to go. I found problems in week 4. When I get to week 6, I'm going to tell me how I'm going to fix those problems. If week 4 in the SWOT tells me what are my threats, what are my weaknesses, Week 6 tells me how am I going to fix those weaknesses? How am I going to deal with those threats? Once I've done that, if week 4 is where am I at and week 6 is where do I want to be, week 8 is basically how am I going to get there? You know, here again, I keep coming back to the GPS or the roadmap thing. For those of you that use a GPS, mine certainly, it'll give me a route. If I don't like it, I can hit a little button and it'll give me a new route. I can take freeways or skip freeways. I can take back roads or toll roads, whatever I want to do. So week 4, I can't stress this enough. Week 4 with the SWOT is where are you at right now? Where's your company at? Where is RBC Dane at? Week 6 is where do they want to be? And then week 8 is how are they going to get there? Those are the key weeks. Week 10 is sort of the summary. You do an executive summary and what's called an evaluation plan. The evaluation is sort of the, okay, we've made a bunch of stuff. We've made a bunch of changes. We've done a lot of things. How do we know if they were successful? I think it was, if I recall right, it was the Avon assignment where the second or third question in the Avon assignment said, how would you go about assessing this? And a lot of people said, well, you would look at sales numbers, you would look at market share, you would look at, you know, costs and that sort of thing. That's what the evaluation plan is. Did you get to where you wanted to go? If you wanted more sales, did you get more sales? If you wanted more customers, did you get more customers? That sort of thing. So let me pause here and we will ask, since we do have someone, Stephanie, is this making sense so far or do I need to go back to any of it?
It's definitely making sense.
All right. And if you were watching this as an archive, do you think it would make sense or do I need to go back through stuff?
I think it would make sense to someone watching it as an archive.
All right. I appreciate that because it's always hard for me to know what the archives are going to be. So I'm going to close this out. Now that was there again for people that don't remember how I got there. I was in lessons. I went to week 3. And within week 3, there was this nice little heading that says, what is this project all about? I click on that, and if I don't do anything else, you can see the little timer will count down and it'll automatically load. Now, because I've done this class so many times, what I also found is that a lot of people, when they're writing papers, just like an outline. So in week 4, if you go back to lesson, week 4, I have actually put in an outline. Now there's a little thing in the week 4 lesson. Some people look at this and they say, oh, I like this little chart. Don't use that little chart. It will just mess you up. I have created this gigantic outline, and basically, if people follow this outline, you will end up with an absolutely perfect project. So I will go through this a little bit. You know, the project itself is due in week 10, so you've got a lot of time yet. The executive summary, the very last thing you write, but it's the first thing in the paper. This will confuse those people. I'll be able to tell who never watched this archive because I will get people that will put the executive summary at the very end of the paper. Even though in the appendix the executive summary is first, even though in my outline the executive summary is first, I will always get 1 or 2 people that put the executive summary in the end. That's not where it goes, so please put it in front. You can write it at the very end. I don't care if you write the thing at 10 o'clock Sunday night just before the project's due, but put it in the front. The SWOT, section 2, the SWOT, this is what's due for week 4. So for your company here again, I hate to pick on Stephanie, but she's here, so we will. Stephanie is going to have to answer all of these questions for RBC Dane. Are there opportunities that RBC has to take advantage of their competitors? Are there threats to RBC from their current competitors? Are there potential new competitors out there that are threats? Or is there a way that RBC has of really killing any potential new business that comes out there? Buyer power. This would be RBC's customers. Who has the power here? Is it the customer, the people that have the money that want RBC to help them? Or is it really RBC? Where are the threats? Do you have a lot of customers that are saying, well, I'm not doing business with you. I saw an ad and I really like that little baby. And Stephanie, this is for you. I find that little baby ad to be funny as all get out, but I would never invest with those people. That just drives me crazy. But they're funny ads. Supplier power, now this may be interesting. I don't even know who suppliers to RBC would be. I suppose the people that put together mutual funds and insurance contracts and annuities, that sort of thing. Substitute products. Now, Stephanie, if I remember right, your projects, what you guys are doing is trying to, you're working with retirement products, aren't you?
Correct.
All right. So I guess a substitute product for a retirement product would be just take all my money and bury it in the backyard?
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. Or I think what most people do now, the substitute product is, well, I'll just ignore it and hope that I win the lottery at the end.
Yeah.
It's a substitute. It's not a good substitute, but it's a substitute. Same basic things, general external environment. Clearly, if you're an RBC Danes, as the economy went downhill, that created a real threat. Now that it's picking back up, there's some good opportunities. Demographics. We don't have to tell Stephanie. I'm old. I'm the classic demographic for RBC Danes. Social cultural. Do we want people to save for their own retirement? Political legal. All the stuff that goes around 401ks and savings plans. And then the internal. The internal is why I've told a lot of people they really want to find some insider contacts. Because RBC is not going to put out on its website, oh, by the way, our strategic managers are really weak because they don't know what they're doing. RBC is not going to put out on their website, wow, our marketing really stinks. You have to talk to people on the inside. Now, Stephanie's very lucky. You'll be able to talk to your manager, the partner in charge of your office, and you'll be able to ask them point blank, what are our management strengths? Where do you see weaknesses? What are our culture strengths? Where do you see weaknesses? What are we doing really well? What do we need to work on? Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Once the SWOT is done, and I know this is probably about the 15th time I've said this already, once the SWOT is done, the rest of the project is really easy. The hardest part of this project is the SWOT. Because until you know where the opportunities are and the threats, until you know where the strengths are and the weaknesses, you have no idea what you want to fix. So the week 4 SWOT is where you're going to figure out what is it that you want to fix. What are we doing that we need to fix? Then in week 6, you come up with 3 issues. And I'm hoping the outline makes sense. Issue number 1. What is it that we want to fix? Okay. What's the issue? Here's what I want to fix. Why is it an issue? Why do I want to fix it? Alternative solution 1. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Who's going to do it? When are they going to get it done by? Where are they going to do it at? Alternative solution 1 may be something that you're going to do at a local office. Alternative solution 2 may be something that's done at a national level. Okay? Now it gets a little confusing in here. I'll try to explain it. You have 3 issues. strategic issue 1, strategic issue 2, strategic issue 3. These are 3 things that you want to fix. You've done your SWOT. You've now come up with 3 things that you want to fix. For each one of those things that you want to fix, you come up with 3 different solutions. You know, one solution for a lot of places is, well, we know we need to fix it, but we're just going to ignore it and hope it goes away. That's a solution. It might not be a good solution, but it's a solution. Another solution for a lot of problems is, well, we're just going to spend a lot of money and see if we can fix it. Again, it might not be a great solution, but it's a solution. This is your chance to think outside the box. Once you've come up with 3 solutions, pick the one that's your recommended solution. Tell me how you're going to do it. Yeah, but actually now I should point this out. This A right here, implementation plan, that does not get done until week 8. And little letter I, evaluation plan, that does not get done until week 10. Okay? So, let me go back. SWOT. This is done in week 4. Section 2, SWOT. This is all done in week 4. Week 6 is strategic issue 1, alternative solution 1, alternative solution 2, alternative solution 3, and recommendation. Week 6 is strategic issue, week 6 is strategic issue 2, alternative solution 1, alternative solution 2, alternative solution 3, and recommendation. And week 6 is also strategic issue 3, alternative solution 1, alternative solution 2, alternative solution 3, and recommendation. That's week 6. Week 8 is the implementation plan for whatever you recommended for strategic issue 1. Week 8 is also the implementation plan for whatever you recommended for strategic issue 2. And week 8 is also the implementation plan for whatever you recommended for strategic issue 3. And then finally, week 10, the evaluation plan for issue 1, evaluation plan for issue 2, evaluation plan for issue 3, and of course your executive summary. And because this is college, no paper would be complete without a reference page. Okay. Stephanie, are we still good?
Yes.
You're sure?
Yes.
All right. Let me answer the one question then that I get all the time. How long is this paper supposed to be? Gosh. And the answer to that is I've seen these come in at 50 pages. I've seen people do a really good job in 10 pages. You know, I guess at a minimum, if your executive summary is 1 page, your SWOT is 5, that puts me up to 6. Your other stuff is 5, that's maybe 11. You've got a 1-page reference, is 12, and a cover page. I suppose somewhere in that 10 to 15 range you could do it without any problem at all. What I will tell you is if you're well under 10 pages, you've probably missed a lot of stuff. You know, you will want to send me an email, and you'll end up sending me an email wanting to know why you didn't do well, but at the end of the day, you will have missed a lot of stuff. I will do my best to get each section graded as fast as I can. So when people send me the SWOT, I realize that until you get your grade on the SWOT, you have a tough time kind of moving forward to the week 6. I will try to get those graded really quickly so people know if your SWOT's useful. Same thing in week 6. I realize that you can't go to your week 8 implementation plan if your recommendations don't make sense. But at the end of the day, what I have to tell you is that this is your strategic plan. I'll be able to look and see if it makes sense. I'll be able to look and see if I can read it. I'll be able to look and see if it's cohesive. But you are the ones that have the inside information. You're going to know if what you wrote in the internal analysis is true or not. You're going to know if your solutions are workable or not. So I'm not going to grade you on things you know. I'm basically going to look at this as sort of a giant big picture. Do you have a workable plan? Did you figure out where you are at? Did you figure out where you want to be? Did you figure out how to get there? And did you come up with some way of evaluating to make sure that once you got there, you're where you wanted to be? If you said you wanted sales to increase by 20%, did you actually measure sales at the end to see if they increased by 20%? If you want to double your customer base, did you check to see if you doubled your customer base? So I'm trying really hard not to scare you with this project, but at the same time, what I can tell you is after quarter and quarter and quarter, if you fall behind on the SWOT, you really fall behind fast. And that's why I wanted to put this archive together quickly before people started working on the SWOT. All right. Stephanie, questions on the outline?
No, it's pretty crystal clear on what should go where and what you're looking for.
Yep. And before anyone gets any idea that I created this outline all on my own, the reality of it is if people look really close, they're going to find that all I did is I took the outline from Appendix 2. Yeah. I'm not particularly brilliant. I just took what was in Appendix 2 and put it in a Word document for people because it seemed to help. And I've taught this class both online and residential, and both ways I find that the outline helps. So I guess we will wrap that up. Once again, where did I find that? I was in Lessons, Week 4, and this big thing that says Outline to Follow. You just click on that. You can load it up. I'm sure it's a printable Word document if you want to print it out. All right. So I think that kind of wraps up what I wanted to cover. So I will ask Stephanie any questions that you think you would like to ask or any questions that you think someone viewing an archive would want to know.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
All right. Well, that's fair. You took the time to at least show up for it, and I appreciate that. It's always harder to do these when you're just talking to yourself because then the dog looks at me like I'm totally crazy. So. And that's good. Any questions on the course other than the project? I may as well ask, since you're here, I will just ask you flat out, any questions at all?
No, I think the announcements that you put out really help with the assignments that we've had so far, and I think it's with the text and the lecture notes, it's pretty clear for the most part for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty good book. It's not too thick. It's not too, over the top as a textbook. I found that I like this book. It kind of cuts to the chase pretty quick. Has some pretty good little diagrams in it. I've been happy with this book. So. Well, all right. Well, with that then, let me quit recording.